back for Arfield. 1-0 Burnley. Scott Arfield. He's been threatening that recently. And all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. It's Rory now. On the outside. He's
got it. Ashley Barnes with it. What a cross from Rory. And there was Ashley Barnes. And Burnley leading the derby.
Knocks it quickly. Finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell. Saved by the keeper.
Burnley won it to the end. That is magnificent. They deserve that.
On it by Paul Teller. Off for a hat-trick.
He's got it. Hat-trick for Nathan Teller. Oh, he's on fire at the minute. 3-0 Burnley. It's Nathan Teller's day.
And Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby. Here's Benson. Can he go on the outside? Comes inside. Top shot.
Oh, what a goal. Manuel Benson once more. That is top class. Burnley have done it. Fantastic. Clarets deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome along to the latest instalment of the Turfcast podcast. Full-time show with me, Joe Redmond, after an emphatic win for Burnley at Bramall Lane. Apologies, I left the image on there, I wasn't meant to. But Burnley have gone to Bramall Lane and they've won and they've put out a real statement of intent. That's how I see what Burnley have just done. People keep looking at Burnley and saying they're not really in it. Even some Burnley fans themselves, there's some in the chat, I've already seen some names. Evening, Martin, how are you doing? That did used to say there's no way that Burnley will be in with a promotion chance. They're a mid-table team at best. It's a false position. Burnley have gone to Bramall Lane, a team that haven't lost at home all season. I think they'd only lost twice all season before today, and they have absolutely battered them. All right, it might only be 2-0. And I'm going to bring some stats on in a bit that suggest that it wasn't as, not emphatic, but we controlled that game 100%, especially in that second half. We were by far and away the better side. And we went there and we did an absolute job on them. We were absolutely fantastic. Even Kieran Phillips is in a good mood. That shows that we were playing well if Kieran's in a good mood. How are you doing, Kieran? Not you well, mate? Keep your comments coming in. Martin's in the chat. He's already whinging. He says, evening, Joe. Why is Joe always late? Mate, you are lucky that this show is even on. I've been over at Bramall Lane. I've bombed it back. My dad was driving. He obviously drove for 70 mile an hour all the way home. Bombed it back and we've got there in time. Nobody on the WhatsApp Turfcast group was answering any messages, apart from Andrew, of course. So you're lucky that there's a show even on, mate. So I might be a couple of minutes late, but come on, you're lucky it's even on. Hopefully Andrew's internet keeps up and, or should I say, gets better. Look at his current image. But fingers crossed we can carry on with the show. Bloody Brownhill scored again, says Martin. Another great performance from Josh. And I tell you what, I was one of the people not criticising him, because I do feel like I'm more of a Brownhill defender than a Brownhill criticiser. But I do sometimes look at the current shape of our midfield, with it being two sort of like deeper midfielders and one in the 10. And I did sometimes say to myself, or even on here, like, I don't see how he fits into this midfield. But he's proven me wrong, absolutely. He was absolutely fantastic today again. Kurt Lehman says, this Stoke versus Leeds game is easy watching. Yes, obviously, I understand some people will probably end up watching that instead of this. Excuse me. But what I will do is try and keep you all updated with the lead score as it goes on, because that's obviously of big importance to us. Harry says, good evening, gents. HFS Pistol League is ready to depart. Colin McGlynn says, evening, what a cracking win. Scott O'Sullivan says, evening all, what a win. James Thresh says, evening, fellas, what a win that was. Bring on the bastards. Funny, actually, because we were chanting bring on the bastards not long after we went 2-0 up. And this guy behind me was furious. He's like, buddy, let's win this one, yeah? But I was loving that. Raj, he's in the chat as well. He says, evening, lads. What an effing result. It was. Craig Speak says, evening all. Super win today. Thought Sheffield offered very little. And they did, mate. Like, I'll tell you what, before I get Andrew's opinion on the game, I mentioned these stats that I said earlier that I am shocked at. But they're the stats from today's game. XG, 0.73 to Sheffield United and only 0.58 to Burnley. Now, I know it wasn't the most attacking, free-flowing, creative performance we'd ever seen. But Burnley were the dominant side, Burnley were the better side, and especially in that second half, Burnley controlled that game. They didn't let Sheffield United get anywhere near them, to be fair. And I am surprised. I do not remember many Sheffield United chances. There might be some that I've missed because my view in that away end, I'll be honest with you, it was awful. If you've seen my pictures and stuff on Twitter, that away end was awful. But we had not the Loren chance, obviously the Anthony chance towards the end, where I felt he should have gone down, to be fair, but he did well and got his shot away. Good save from Cooper. He's a good keeper. Colin Roberts at the end as well. I think from the resulting corner from that, to be fair. So it could have easily been like 3-0 to Burnley, and then you'd have looked at that, and the XG would have been low. I actually do not get that. I haven't had the chance to look at the individual XG because you can look at all the individual XGs, and sometimes there's some anomalies in there and stuff. So maybe it's something to do with that. I'm not sure. And I know some people in this chat hate XG, and I think this is one of these instances where you can say XG is probably a little bit off today, because anybody watching that game with their eyes would see that Burnley were the better side, Burnley were the dominant side, and Burnley 100% deserved to win. I've just seen a comment from Kieran. I've got to bring it in. He says, I'll leave it all my hands up. Browner was class today. Fair enough, Kieran. I did not expect that from you. Having said that, though, Kieran has
Christmas
said...
miracle.
Yeah, it is. He does say, has anybody watched Chris Wilder's interview? An absolute... said we was lucky. I did nothing but blame the referee. That does not surprise me with that absolute gimp, mate, to be fair. I haven't seen it yet. I would bring it in and put it on here, but there'll probably be some sort of copyright issues as to why I can't do that. But I'll watch it later on and I'll put some tweets about that or whatever if you haven't seen it. But yeah, we absolutely battered them. So if he thinks we were lucky, then he needs to screw his head back on. It looks like a miserable ham sandwich, to be fair, does Chris Wilder. So that tells you everything you need to know. Andrew, let's get into it then. Your thoughts on the game, please, mate. Oh, and before I do, cheers, Clarets. Got to crack over the beers after a big win, aren't I? But Andrew, your thoughts on the game, please, mate.
Yeah, I thought it was a good game. I thought first 10, 15 minutes, I thought Sheffield United were not all over us, but it looked like we were going to struggle to get anything today. And then we sort of got into it a little bit more. And I thought after the first 15 minutes, we started playing really well. There were some sloppy passes, a little bit struggling to get into it a little bit. But like I said, that we defended really solid. The midfield looked really good. And there were some nice little passing moves. Like we saw some against Watford, obviously, with Brownhill's goal. But today, as well, again, like Brownhill's goal again today, it starts with some nice passing. Fleming's ball out wide to Humphreys is absolutely brilliant. And then he's just got all the left-hand side to just run into and puts it across. And obviously Brownie heads home. So, yeah, I think really, really good game. Second half, obviously Fleming's goal killed it.
Yeah.
But like I've listened to Wilder's interview, and he says like there's not much in the game, and they should have had a free kick right before ours. All they were doing all game were going down and getting simple, easy free kicks. There were nothing in that, and then they flattened Hannibal outside the box, and even Wilder's like, you can tell he's trying not to say it weren't a free kick without saying it. But yeah, it absolutely brilliant, absolute massive win. You look at, like you say, you look at the XG and it looks like, oh, we've not dominated that. But there's not a chance that they could have got anything today. We've absolutely dominated that, 100% deserved. And this was the one in the, last week when we were talking about the run of 4 games. Yeah. This was the game that I was most worried about. Yeah. And I think, and I think today's performance just sort of says, it's like a statement to the rest of the league of, this is where we are. This is, we're serious about this. And it's almost like a middle finger to everyone who doubted Parker, because I think everything today was just spot on.
Yeah. To be fair, I have put stuff out on Twitter and Facebook saying people who basically let the apologies be as loud as the disrespect. I understand I'm kind of playing devil's advocate a little bit when I say that, but I have backed him throughout all of this. I felt like the noise after we got beat against Millwall was just ludicrous. I know, again, some of you in the chat will be thinking he's on about me and stuff, or I one of them, and that's fair enough. Like, I'm not even trying to dig anyone out. I just feel like some of the I feel like as a Burnley fan base, we're better than that. We're not as reactive as that, or I didn't think we were, to be fair. But he's come out, and despite everything, because let's be fair, he had the rug pulled from underneath him. Whether he should have expected it or not, that's a different debate. But he did have the rug pulled from underneath him, and he has done an absolutely fantastic job of Scott Parker. To be where we are at this stage, he has done an absolutely fantastic job. And I think everybody who slagged him off owes him an apology. But he just know that the lads that did slag him off will be sort of like whinging and if we get beat against Middlesbrough, for example, that they'll be straight back onto it and saying, "Oh, Parker's not good enough, Parker this, Parker that." I noticed the second tier lads as well managed to give us some compliments today as well, so we must have played well. However, what I will say is,
though, like,
go on.
I'm gonna say, in fairness, like I was completely Parkering, and I think I went on a few rants saying, "Give your head a wobble if you want him out" and stuff. But it really could have gone either way. Amster's been on Christmas dinner, lads. Sorry. But yeah, it could have gone.
Struggling.
Really could have gone either way with Parker, and he's got his head down, sort of not hid away from the noise, but sort of blocked out all the noise, and we've come out the other side of it looking so much better. And I think because he was an not underwhelming signing, but he weren't the first name everyone wanted to replace Company. And he always had a tough job to replace, the best, not the best manager we've had in the Championship, but that Championship season under Company was probably one of the best that people have seen. So Parker always had a tough job, and when it wasn't going well, you can sort of see why it wasn't going great and why people were wanting him out. But he's come out the other side of it. On the positive side, it could have easily gone negative, but yeah, made up for him.
Yeah, well, it's done well. We're doing well. We are now the team with the least amount of defeats in the league this season, because Sheffield United did have 2. They are now on 3. Then obviously we're currently in second. It depends on the league result whether we stay there or not. Sorry, we're on 2 defeats, and Leeds have had 3 defeats. Sunderland have had 3 defeats. The Horse Fiddlers have had 6. Watford 7. Middlesbrough 7. West Brom 4. And Sheff Wednesday, who had a brilliant comeback today, to be fair to them, are on 8 defeats. However, Burnley are now only one of 3 teams to not lose at home, because obviously Sheffield United were one of them teams. Ellen Road, they've only lost 1 game at Leeds United. Who did they get beat against? Burnley. Watford, funnily enough, are doing very, very well at home and haven't lost a home game, as have Sunderland. So it just shows how well we are doing. Burnley till I die says, "Merry Christmas, Clarets." Merry Christmas, mate. Oh, hope you had a good one. Dale Husband said also 9 goals conceded at the halfway point of the season is mad. It is, to be fair. That's just a credit to Scott Parker, the defence. Every single one of them defenders, because I know Connor Roberts is another one that goes under the radar, and he was absolutely fantastic today. We'll get into individuals in a bit, but I do quickly want to bring in, because when Andrew was talking earlier about the Chris Wilder thing, obviously I was saying I would love to bring it in for you all so you can all watch it, but there's probably a copyright issue, which means that I can't do that. However, I have managed to take a screenshot straight from the BBC website and create a nice, lovely little graphic like that. So this is Sheffield United manager Chris Wilder's reaction after Burnley win at Bramall Lane. He says, "I didn't think there was much in the game. It really was always going to be a tight game. They found the quality in the first half to put them up front, but for me, it was an even game." I don't think anything he said there is too bad, to be fair. I think it was an even game, but we edged it. We controlled it, especially in the second half after we went 2-0 up. We started the game very well and had control, but we know they're dangerous. And to be fair to them, they found a way through our press, put in a decent cross and finish. We were unfortunate to go at half-time behind. Don't necessarily agree with that bit, although it probably was quite even at that point, which is what he's saying. But the goal was just superb, and that, I think, meant we deserved to win. And then we started the second half on the front foot. To be fair, again, they did. I tweeted like literally 30 seconds before we scored saying, "Jesus Christ," a bit more of a less family-friendly word than Jesus Christ. it's going to be a long 45 minutes if we keep playing like this. And literally, we got the free kick and then scored it. And what a deflection, by the way. I'll take it. At the time of the goals, gave them something to hold on to. It was an unfortunate goal to concede, to go 2-0 down. We've had to deal with, yet again, more head-scratching refereeing decisions. I'll be honest with you, up until that last sentence, I genuinely don't think it's that bad, what he said. I think it's a bit of a overreaction from some people. Lee Dane, however, says Wilder's a wanker. Fair enough, Lee. Love it. Sheffield United says, sorry, Kurt Lehman says, Sheffield United still dining out on the 5-2 win 2 seasons ago. It looks like it, mate, doesn't it? Andy Ducker says, top 4, only 2 home losses so far this season, over 40 games, both of them inflicted by Burnley. What a stat that is. Harry says, they didn't look like scoring for the full 90 minutes. Could still be playing now, they wouldn't score. That's exactly my point, mate. Where they've got this 0.7 XG from is beyond me, but they did not look like scoring at all. I think it was Kurt earlier in the chat that said they didn't even look like scoring. Sheffield United. Trafford didn't have to make a meaningful save, I think he said, and he didn't. Yeah, there was a couple of moments where he did well, coming out and punching crosses and stuff. Another good performance from Trafford. Again, he's another one where, to be fair, some of the disrespect was from me with Trafford, but he's another one that's proving a lot of people wrong. But I do stand by some of the stuff again that I said last season. I think it was just a little bit too much. Claret Blue 1882 said, even Clarets didn't think we were doing a full-time show. I weren't going to, mate. I messaged Andrew and said, look, I'll be back at about 8 o'clock. Do you fancy doing it? He said, yeah. Everyone else in the WhatsApp group ignored me. So thank Andrew, mate. Absolutely fantastic. Clarent Blue 1882 says, how awesome was our midfield again? Fantastic. Sorry, pal. Totally disagree. Can't think of a single clear-cut chance they created. That's what I just said, Kieran. So I think unless you disagree with somebody else in the chat, apologies if you are, mate. They didn't create a chance at all. And I completely agree with that, mate. So I don't know where the disagrees come from. But Andrew, let's quickly go through that first Burnley goal, because it was absolutely sublime, wasn't it? It was a real goal. First of all, Fleming picks the ball up there. Obviously, I can't show you the goal. Apologies. The highlights are on YouTube. I've watched the Burnley YouTube highlights, and then I watched the Sky Sports YouTube highlights, because I watched the Burnley ones, and I'm thinking, right, so I've just seen the XG of Sheffield United apparently being higher than ours, so maybe Burnley have edited out some Sheffield United chances, but there was not much more in there than the Burnley one, to be honest. It was an extra 30 seconds, and it was one Sheffield United chance, and it weren't even that good. But anyway, Fleming picks the ball up there, and I thought Fleming had a great game. Again, playing in a position that's not really his. So people do sometimes give him a bit of stick and say he doesn't do enough that you'd want from a striker, and I respect that, he doesn't. But when he's coming deep and doing things like that, like he should do in his position, absolutely fantastic ball. So he comes deep, and this is what Wilder's on about, where he says they beat our press brilliantly. Because look, as you can already see, I can't show you, I'm pointing at it like you can all see, we've already caught 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Sheffield United players out of the game there, potentially even more than that, because obviously only half of it's on screen. But then Fleming, brilliant ball out wide to Humphreys, who was absolutely superb today, by the way. Again, we'll get into the individuals later. He gets it out wide. This still is taken just after he's put the ball in. So he's got a lot of space, to be fair to him. He runs up the wing very, very well, puts the ball in for Josh Brownhill, who you can see there coming in on the back post. And what a header that was from Brownhill. Heads it down. That's exactly what you would expect a number 9 to do, what Josh Brownhill did there. He arrived late at the back post, headed it down, and headed it really, really well. To be fair, if I'm being super critical, the goalkeeper should probably do better. But when you look at that still, you can see why the keeper's not saved it, because his weight is the other way. That obviously the ball is going to the keeper's left-hand side, which is our right as well, looking at it. So he probably should do better, the keeper. But you can kind of see why he's not saved it when you look at that still. What are your thoughts on that goal, Andrew, mate?
Absolutely. Like, the whole move were brilliant. I mean, Fleming, I know I've certainly given him a lot of stick for not really doing a lot. I know, like we said, obviously, he's playing out of position, so he does get a little bit of leeway, but your first touch still needs to be right. You know, you still need to be making runs. And that was one of the things that I had an issue with earlier in the season with him. That pass from him, it's like on the half volley, with his weaker foot, gets it across to Humphreys, who's got so much space, which I don't understand how they've let him have that much space. But he's had so much space just to run. And the ball, like, it's very similar to the goal against Watford, but the ball into the box is absolutely brilliant. and then you've got Brownhill obviously running in at the back post. Like that's, I don't want to say, oh, that's what you expect from a number 9, but because obviously he's not a number 9, but that's what you want from your players. You want them making those runs in case the second ball comes to you, or if the keeper punches it out, that sort of thing. And he's anticipated that, and the header, like there was so much power. And when you're growing up, when you're playing football as a kid, you always get told head it hard and into the ground, and that's exactly what he did. And it's gone, past the keeper. I don't think there's much the keeper should have done or actually could have done. But yeah, it's a good goal. It's very similar to the one against Watford. I think we're going to start seeing a few more goals like that. But yeah, absolutely brilliant goal.
Yeah, it really, really was. And to be fair, the midfield there's a lot of comments coming in now. Keep your comments coming in as usual. But a lot of people talk about how good the midfield was. And if I'm being super critical, because I always like to give a balanced opinion on this and not just sit here swinging my cock about saying, oh, how good were Burnley? I always try and be a bit balanced. I think, if anything, the midfield was good. But if I'm being super critical, there was a couple of moments in the first half where we put ourselves under unnecessary pressure with some bad passes. So I still feel that we can get better. And that's the good thing with it. The midfield was absolutely fantastic. Of course it was. But I do think the midfield was brilliant as well. I thought Fleming was fantastic. I thought the defence, as usual with the defence, were absolutely brick wall. Trafford again, he's not getting the praise I feel like he deserves, because now we've gone full circle with Trafford. He was getting criticised so much at one point last season. I admit I was part of that. But then it got to a point where we stopped slagging him off because he was just making mistakes every week. And then we've now gone full circle with him, where at the start of the season, everyone was ranting and raving about how good he's being. And now we've kind of forgotten that. And now we're not praising him much. Again, as I think it was Kurt said in the chat earlier, he didn't really have a save to make today, but what he did have to do, it was absolutely brilliant, weren't he? Like coming out and punching crosses, catching crosses, a couple of shots straight at him. There was that one moment when somebody went through on goal. It might have been Kiefer Moore, I can't remember, but Trafford came running out, made himself big, great challenge, but then it flagged for offside, so it wouldn't have counted towards any stats anyway. But Trafford were absolutely fantastic again, weren't he, today?
Yeah, I think, like I say, last season he got a lot of stick, rightly so, probably, because of how poor he was. So I think some of the stuff that was said about him was probably a little bit harsh, but look, he got hung out to dry last season, and he's 100%. In the right, he's found his level this season, and it's only going to do him good. Like, it's only going to help him build his confidence. But in front of him, he's got a solid back four as well. And you look at that back four, and you've got Roberts in there. You've got Steve. You've got Egan Riley. These are lads who have experience. Like, obviously, Roberts Welsh international. Steve's been in front of him for quite a bit. Egan Riley, he's come through the City Academy. So these have got these are players who've got experience and can help him out with that. And even looking at like our goalkeeper options on the bench, like Gladke, is literally last season won promotion with Ipswich. Like, he's going to help him learn. And I think last year you saw a young boy who was just being put in front of the crowd and being hung out to dry. This year you're watching a young man who's growing and just been, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I'll put that comment on screen from Martin because I enjoyed that, Martin. Fair play to you for saying you've eaten your pie. Please don't get the pie back out and start slinging it about if we get beat off Middlesbrough. But yeah, we really have. Lee, are you a Burnley fan, Lee? If not, if you are, then you're a miserable sod. If not, then I understand your bitterness and you're crying. He says, still not getting top two, will be in the playoffs. Maybe. I did go into today's game thinking we probably will finish third, but I do not fear Sheffield United at all now. And I've been saying Sheffield United are the best team in the league. I thought they were better than Leeds, if I'm being honest with you. But I feel like they were so poor today. But let's not take anything away from Burnley. I don't think it was Sheffield United were poor. I think we just didn't allow them to play at all. David Gold says, great result today. Merry Christmas from Colombia, South America. Scott Parker is proving most of us wrong. And is slowly but surely improving our performances and picking the right players. Completely agree. International here at Turfcast, to be fair. We have people watching in Canada, all over. People always tell me where they're watching from. Bob, good to meet you today, mate. Is Chris in the chat? I've not seen Chris in the chat. He says, behave, Chris Wilson. He was 50-50 today, Chris. Is he? I must have missed that. Sorry, Chris. There he is. Just had a DM of Bob Devine on Twitter saying he thought Hannibal had a stinker. Fair enough. What you didn't realise, Chris, is that Bob was in the chat. I actually met Bob today. I forgot about the blocking you instance, though, so I didn't give him any banter for that, to be fair. But thank you to the thing you handed me, Bob. I won't mention what it was on stream in case you get in trouble. But thank you for that. Good to meet you today, mate. Bob probably didn't say that, though, to be fair, knowing him. Daz, statement win. Nice meeting you today, Joe. Good to you as well, mate. Yeah, fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Any truth in these Trafford rumours? If you're referring to the going to Spurs ones, Spurs can be interested all they want, but Burnley are in a position where they don't need to sell, despite what people will always try and tell you. But if Spurs come in and offer 30 million, then I think he will. I think he will. He will go, and I think Burnley will happily sell him. But yeah, playoffs with them down the road, I bet good win. There's no way Blackburn finishing the playoffs, mate. They will have their usual drop off around now, hopefully culminating, starting, should I say, in the defeat against us. Dale Husbands in the chat. He says 2 defeats in 23 is top form. It is, Dale, and I completely agree with you. All we need to do now, and again, not me being critical here or negative, is we just need to find a way to turn these home draws into wins. If we turn these home draws into wins, and we've drawn 8 games, for example, so far this season. If we'd have drawn 7 and won 1 more, for example, we'd be top. If we'd have drawn 4 less and all them would have been wins, we'd be top by an absolute margin. So we just need to find a way, just to tweak it slightly, to turn these into wins. I'm just laughing at Bob saying he's refollowed Chris now. So he followed him, got angry with him, blocked him, unblocked him. Now he's followed him again. Yeah. Let's get into individual. In fact, before we do get into individuals, I captured a brilliant video, if I do say so myself, from the second goal. So what I have done, I've not done it, have I? I have brought it in, and I'm going to play it now for you when it loads in. So Andrew, actually, while it loads in, just give me your thoughts on that Fleming/Cullen goal. Obviously, poor free kick in the end, but he's kept it alive and it's gone in. It's hit Cullen. The club have given it Cullen. I think Flash Score gave it to Fleming at first. I'm not sure if they changed it, but they all count, don't they?
Yeah, as soon as he took the free kick and he hit it and it hit the wall, the words that came out of my mouth were, well, that was shit. And then it's gone straight back to him and he's hit it into the top. All right, it's taken a deflection. But, I mean, how many times has stuff like that gone against us? So, yeah, it all counts. It don't matter if he'd have hit it or if it's gone off Cullen's arse or, whatever. It's gone it back at net and it's a hell of a goal. But, yeah, it's completely pure luck. But he knew what he was doing when it came back to him. Fleming steadied himself, knew what he was doing, and had the time to line it up. Fair enough, it's bounced off someone, but he knew what he was doing. But Christ, yeah, the free kick on its own was awful.
It was.
I'm just glad the rebound ended up in back at net.
Yeah, Claret Blue 1882 says pure luck. And to be fair, you can't really argue with that. I do agree with you, Andrew. He's kept it alive. He's done well to keep it alive. But it is pure luck, the fact that it just hits Cullen and goes in. But who cares? We've been on the opposite end of them a few times. And I'll tell you what, let's have a look at the goal from a fan's perspective now. Just as a disclaimer, there might be a bit of swearing in this.
I'm telling you, he scores it. He scores it, I promise you. He does, I promise you. Oh, fucking hell.
What? Absolutely fantastic. Can I just say that Sheffield United fan there crying at the end? He were giving it big bollocks all game. I've got so many clips of him giving it large, and he absolutely lost his head at the end there, and it was absolutely brilliant. And then he only stayed for about 10 more minutes after that. He just left because he were getting so much shit off Burnley fans. Absolutely fantastic. That's probably one of the best bits of footage I've ever captured at a match. And you remember when the clip of Josh Brownhill going viral holding the inflatable trophy up to the Blackburn fans? That's my clip. Yeah. So I think that's up there with that. It won't get as much acknowledgement because of obviously how good that Brownhill clip was. But absolutely fantastic. That's what it's all about, innit? Absolute limbs there, Andrew. And I was saying to you off air, weren't I? I've actually cut the back of my leg. I don't know how I've done it. I think somebody's jumped down and cut the back of my leg or something, jumping on a chair. But that's what away days are all about, innit? Absolute scenes, limbs, as the kids say, I think. They probably don't, but brilliant away end today.
That was just beautiful. That Sheffield United fan losing his head there is absolutely brilliant. But is that you going? It's going in this. It's going in this. I'm telling you, it's going in.
It's a guy in front of me. No, it's a guy in front of me. He was saying it. He was talking to me all game, and he was saying it. If you listen to it again, I won't play it again on this stream, but it's on Twitter. There's a bit where just as it's about to go in, I go, "Oh!" and then obviously it goes in, and there's absolute scenes and limbs. And then there's a bit where somebody goes, "Fucking get in there!" And again, that's me. But no, the guy, he's going to score this. He's going to score this. That was the guy in front of me. You can see him a little bit. You can see him a little bit turn around very quickly and go, "I told you." But then he was fuming because they give it Cullen, and he had Fleming to score and Burnley to win on his bet, so he was absolutely spitting. But anyway, let's move on. Before I do, just quickly want to bring this in. Jorge Rodriguez. I always get this name wrong, mate. Hello, Joe and Andrew. Merry Christmas. What a complete game that is. Yes, mate. I remember chatting to you yesterday a little bit on Christmas, weren't I? You had a great Christmas, mate. It sounded like you did. But Clarets today, Joe is the one with the girl screaming the ball. I've got a man's voice, mate. I don't know what you're talking about. Ian says, funny as F watching. I don't know why I sometimes censor my own swearing because sometimes I don't. But he says, funny as F watching his head implode. Bob Devine said he was livid there, fan. Colin McGlynn says that was brilliant. Even Martin Zapper, he says get in. And he also says apparently Sheffield United have the best defence in the league. Well, I think you'll find statistically, Martin, Sheffield United fans are talking absolutely bollocks because we've conceded 9 goals this season. They've conceded a whopping 13. And just to keep you updated, as it stands, it is currently Stoke City 0, Leeds United 0. They're in the 35th minute at the not the Britannia Stadium, the Bet365 Stadium. But anyway, let's get into... hold on, I just want to bring this comment in. David Gold says, don't judge a game on a very fortuitous second goal. It's a matter of how we are stifling some of the best teams in the division. Not always the best to watch, but we are winning and scoring. Completely agree, mate. I'm not saying anything different. They did not lay a glove on Burnley today. So we were absolutely fantastic. And George Rodriguez says, David, it's pronounced George, but the wording of it is spelled in Spanish. Not that anybody cares. It's just so I know for future reference. But anyway, let's get into individuals. Kieran, are you in the chat, please, mate? I know you've already said you've eaten some humble pie on Hannibal. Not on Hannibal, on Brownhill. I am going to talk about Hannibal because he was class again today as well. But yes, Joshua Brownhill. I'm going to tell you all the story here. I weren't going to tell this story, but now I'm in a good mood. I feel like I'll come across as not being a dickhead in this story. I actually put something up on Twitter the other day where I spoke about how good Burnley were against Watford. And in this video, it's all there for everyone to see. I just weren't going to highlight it. But in this video, I said Josh Brownhill was fantastic. He's proved a lot of people wrong. He's got a bit of stick. As I say a lot, I think sometimes the criticism he gets is too much. But I do sometimes struggle to see where he fits in this midfield. Josh Brownhill's dad saw it and he commented on it saying, you struggle to see where he fits in the midfield, loads of laughing faces, and then put bless. And I thought, that's a bit of a dickhead comment, that, mate. Especially when I'm not being a dickhead here. I just sometimes feel like the positioning of our midfield sometimes doesn't work. But once again, today, I think he's shown that he does fit into this midfield. He can play in that 10 role in this, especially the form he's in now. He might go quiet in a few games. He sometimes might hit a patch where he's not playing very well. but he's been absolutely fantastic. And we'll get onto man of the matches and stuff in a bit. So try and keep it under wraps at who you're going to give it to, Andrew. I know there's only me and you in it today, so it might be a very quick one. But he was absolutely fantastic today, Brownhill, and he's really, really proving a lot of people wrong, including me, even though I had never really criticised him. I just said I don't understand where I can see where I see Brownhill fitting into our midfield in its current shape.
No, ironically, I've backed Brownhill like all season, and I desperately want him to sign a new contract. I didn't think he was good. He did play really well, but I don't think it was one of his better games. I think everyone played well, but I don't think it was one of his better games. Like I say, he made the run for the goal. Did it really, really well. But yeah, I think he didn't shine out to me like he has done in the last few games. But I can't expect him to do it every week. And yeah, I just don't think he was as good as he normally is.
New Name says, you defend your son too. I'm not criticising him, I'm just telling you all the story. I did think it was a bit of a dickhead comment because I didn't say anything wrong. Didn't say there's anything wrong with it. Is that you, by the way? Is that you? I can't remember what his name was, Gary. I can't remember. Again, you're right. I would. Don't have anything wrong with it. Winning teams make their own luck, says Paul Johnson. Agree. Sheffield United didn't get any luck today because they just didn't shoot, but rarely. But yeah, Josh Brownhill, absolutely fantastic today. I do want to ask you all a question, actually. What do we do when we have Lyle Foster back? Because the chances are when Lyle Foster's back, he's going to play in that 9, whether people like it or not. Excuse me, because he's a proper 9. And Fleming's been playing quite well, to be fair to him. But I still think Lyle comes in that 9 position because he's a proper number 9. So then what I've been saying for the last few months and why I sometimes say I struggle to see where he fits in the midfield is because I've always thought Lyle will come in, Fleming will drop into the 10, and then I don't particularly like Brownhill in the double pivot role. I don't think that's his game at all. He's far, far, far better further forward, and that's kind of my point that I'm making when I say what I say. So then we've got an issue now where do we drop Fleming or do we drop Brownhill? Or some people might just say, just don't bring Lyle in. So what would you do, Andrew? When Lyle's properly back and ready to start, would you put Lyle in the striker and drop Fleming? Or would you put Lyle in as a striker, put Fleming in the 10 and drop Brownhill?
They'll bring Foster back in. At the minute, you can't change a winning team, and that midfield at the minute, like we've had so long arguing about, where do you play Hannibal, where do you play Brownhill, where do you play Laurent? We've got this midfield where everyone's really good. Foster's been out injured for however long, and we've been smashing it. You can't all of a sudden bring in a player who's scored 1 goal all season, by the way. You can't all of a sudden bring him in just to come straight back in the team. Fleming's done well in a position that's not his position. He's got 3 goals now. I'm not giving that goal to Cullen today. That's still Fleming's goal. He's got 3 goals this season. It's more than Foster's got, and Foster's a main striker. You can't drop Brownhill. Brownhill's got 9 goals. You can't drop him. That midfield, as it is now, works too well. You can't all of a sudden, just because your main striker's back fit, bring him back into the team, because he's not, no disrespect to Foster, I do like him. And obviously you always have to sort of caveat it with, you understand he's had his mental health issues and, he's had different fitness issues, but at the minute he's not that he's not good enough, but he's not shown anything this season for me that he deserves to be our main striker. If he comes on off the bench a few times and puts the ball in the back of the net, then that's different. And then you've sort of got to look at, well, maybe do I drop Fleming back? Do I drop Brownhill out the team? Do I drop Cullen out the team and try Laurent and Brownhill? And, that's a question for a later day. But at the minute, you don't, you don't have a divine right to walk back into the team.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Andy Duckworth here says in the comments, let Lyle fart his way back in. Did well today, but he has to wait. I agree with that. I thought he did all right today, but he looked leggy quite early on. But again, you kind of expect that when you've not played for so long and you've had a few injuries. Just to go back to your point, Andrew, about Fleming scoring more times this season than Lyle. To be fair, we're now at the stage where Fleming has played more times this season than Lyle. Lyle with 9 appearances, and one of them's probably in the Carabao Cup, I think. And Fleming with 14 appearances. So Fleming's played quite a lot more than Lyle, to be fair. However, I do agree he wasn't great earlier in the season. But I think I agree with Claret. Biggest elephant in the room here, stick with the false 9. I agree with Bob as well. You can't drop JB on this form. Fleming drops to the bench, unfortunately. I agree with the people saying you can't drop Brownhill. At this stage, you genuinely cannot drop Brownhill. He's so good at the minute. He's our leading goal scorer from the 10 position, and he's not playing in that position every single game either. Like there has been some games where he's played a little bit further back, and these are the games where people are criticising him. Yeah, exactly. I do agree with that, Chris. He says, what did Foster do pre-injury to deserve walking straight back in? And again, I agree. I think the only reason why sometimes we ask for him to come in is because he's a proper striker, whereas obviously Fleming isn't, to be fair. I think that's the only reason sometimes people ask for him to come in. But I kind of get it. I don't see how he can just come straight back in. Just a quick update for you. Leeds United have scored. It is Stoke City 0, Leeds United 1. So as it stands, Burnley will drop back down to 3rd in the Championship come at the end of the day. However, we obviously started the day. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. We started the day 4 points away off the top. We will now just be 1 point away off the top. So we are doing a lot better. Can't see him dropping Loren and putting Brownie back in the. I don't want him to do that. I do not want him to do that, to be fair. That's what I'm saying. When I say about Brownhill, I don't think how he fits into that midfield. I don't think he works in the 8. I did used to like Brownhill in the 8, to be fair, but I think these days he's better off as a 10. So keep him in the 10. I think you cannot drop Josh Brownhill. Another one who was absolutely fantastic today, Hannibal. He's had a great couple of games, to be fair, as Hannibal. Absolutely fantastic. There's been something about him moving out on the left. And again, a few people raised a few eyebrows, myself included. I think you did as well, Andrew. I think there were some of us in the Turfcast WhatsApp group before the Watford match saying, what's he doing out there? And then Chris was on the turf before us all saying, yeah, it looks like he's playing on the left. But he's been absolutely fantastic, hasn't he? He was brilliant once again today, and he was brilliant again against Watford, wasn't he? So 2 performances in this position and 2 brilliant performances.
Yeah, he just brings us further up the pitch, and I think that partnership between him and Humphreys, like it just seems to be working really, really well. And Humphreys moving, being more attacking, allows Hannibal to move infield a little bit more. So, literally, what Jay said there, like Hannibal starting gives Humphreys more of a chance to get forward, which obviously the first goals come from that today. But I honestly think, like, the thing we liked about Hannibal when we first signed him was obviously the shithousery, and moving him onto that left-hand side, he's still got a bit of that in there. I mean, is this now 2 games without a yellow card for him? Like, that's got to be a record. But yeah, he just seems to have found his feet a bit more, and I think that whole midfield has, with Laurent and Cullen, playing at the back, and then you've got Brownhill further forward. It's allowing Hannibal to get inside as well, and they're just working so well together, that midfield. He looks happy as well, like he looks more content to be in that position, and I don't know what it is. But yeah, he's just really coming to his own, and I think it's his shirt to lose now. Like, obviously, Coley, or sure, we all know how talented he actually is, but I think it's Hannibal's shirt to fight for now.
I think this is the perfect comment from Andy here. Hannibal looks after the ball better, more technical, raw but high potential. He just does, like Coley Orshaw. He's always, I love Coley Orshaw, and at the start of the season, I'll be honest, he came into the season as my favourite player. He's my son's favourite player, but I absolutely love him. I just feel like sometimes he just gets the ball and all he wants to do is run in a direct line towards their goal, which is great, but sometimes it's not the best option to do, whereas Hannibal will pick the best option, and he's fantastic. I think now, it's his shirt to lose, as you said, but then you've got somebody like Coley Orshaw to come in. And to be fair, I'll get into this debate in a little bit. And to be fair, we've already hit 47 minutes. We've done very, very well today. It's just two of us. But I think it's going to be great to have Hannibal on the left and then bring somebody off the bench of Coley Orshaw's pace and ability. Like that's a fantastic asset to have. And even in games like, because now we're going to play Middlesbrough in 3 days. So we might have to change the team up slightly. So Hannibal might come out, even though he's played very well for somebody like Coley Orshaw. Who knows? We'll change it. In fact, we'll get onto that debate next week, because somebody did come up in the comments earlier and said, what do you do now with the team? In fact, before I do, I just want to give a quick shout out to Bashir Humphries. I thought he was absolutely excellent today. And I do think it's no coincidence that his best 2 games in a Burnley shirt have come when Hannibal's been on that left. Because as you and one of the commenters said, I think it was Chris, that he just works brilliantly with him, links up well with him, moves inside, so then he's got the space as well, and he's been absolutely fantastic, to be fair. So he's been fantastic, a great signing, and he's been very, very good for the last couple of games. And again, his shirt to lose again. I think Perez might struggle to get back into the team. But just moving on, no, I'm not going Borough, mate. Unfortunately, I went today. Can't make it to Borough. I'll be at Blackburn though. Just answering comments like I'm chatting to somebody, if for those of you that didn't see it. I want to chat about the next lineup then, because it's always a bit of debate, is the next lineup. However, we've just played 3 days ago. We played again today. We've got to play again in another 3 days. There's going to be some tired legs in there, isn't there? Are there any changes you'd make to that starting 11, Andrew, sorry, or would you keep it the same or tweak it slightly?
As long as everyone's fit, I think that's my starting 11 now. Hannibal and Humphries work so well together. I fear tinkering with that would probably, make a bit of an impact. Right hand side, I know that he's had some stick this season, but Anthony, I thought he played really, really well today. I don't see how you can drop him and who you drop him for. The only option is really Coley Orshaw, and we know that he doesn't really do well on the right hand side. And Roberts, all right, he's Mr. Reliable. He's got, he's not anything incredible, but he's got that experience, and I think that he's done really well this season. So I wouldn't want to swap either of them. You obviously can't drop Stephen Egan Riley because they're just an absolute brick wall. That midfield, like I say, I think that midfield's perfect. And the only maybe change would be Fleming, just, because of how much game time he's played recently, if he is, a little bit fatigued. But there's no one on that bench that I'd want to drop him for, because the role that he's been playing at the minute, he's been so good in it. It's really hard to see who you drop him for. Obviously, I love J-Rod and I'd have him starting every game, but you can't change a winning team. And we've had 2 games now where we've played absolutely brilliant. You can't change that team.
Sorry, mate, I was on mute. Yeah, completely agree. Hypothetically, I would like to make a couple of changes just because of the amount of games in such a short space. And then again, not long after that, you've got Stoke on New Year's Day. And then not long after that, you've got Blackburn. And that's obviously a very, very important game to us that we have to win that match. So hypothetically, I'd like to see some changes. However, I go through the team in my head and I don't think nobody deserves to come out. And I don't see how replacing anybody, unless there's a fitness issue or a fatigue issue, how that would benefit us. Trafford, obviously not. Humphries been class. The back 2, obviously class. Roberts, again, there's a comment on screen from Bob. Excuse me. He says, Connor Roberts isn't getting much love. Very solid today and had another chance of goal. Should have done better with that chance. But other than that, mate, you're right. It was fantastic. Mr. Reliable, as Chris says there. Oh, no, not again. It's done the thumbs up. It's not going to crash, is it? No, it hasn't crashed, thankfully. But yeah, he's absolutely fantastic. So he can't come in. And then you've got Hannibal on the left, been brilliant for the last couple of games. Loren and Cullen in the middle seem to complement each other very well. And then obviously Anthony on the right. And then you've got Brownhill, who's seems to have found another gear from somewhere. And then Fleming. Like, the only person that I could make an argument for dropping is potentially Fleming if Lyle's ready. But I know that wouldn't be a great opinion to have for some people. But I just feel like if he's tired a little bit, and let's see what having a striker in there will do. But again, I think it will be incredibly harsh on Fleming. Rick Williams says, Merry Christmas, lads. Sorry I'm late to the party. Been putting the kids to bed. Or you've had a fantastic new year with 3 points. It's on. Yes, mate. Really good Christmas. Thank you very much. Hannibal Medri Fans TV's in the chat. They always are. Hannibal can't be dropped in the next games after the past performances. I agree. But... excuse me, I'm not saying Hannibal should be dropped, but sometimes you've got to look past the next game. You've got to be looking at the Blackburn game and things like that. So maybe get past this Borough game with the same team, tinker with it slightly for the Stoke game, because they're famous last words, but they're not as strong as a Middlesbrough or a Blackburn, and then hopefully get through that unscathed, and then put the better players back in my opinion. Martin says, give Lyle maybe the last 29-30 minutes. Yeah, fair enough. Kurt says, we controlled the game that well today. Nobody even looked tired. I agree. John Flynn says, Foster struggled in the transitional team. He was hung out to dry, left up top on his own with zero creation. The second team this season has developed. Foster will be a great addition to this team. I do agree with that in the long run, mate, but I also agree with the fact that he does need to fight for his space. Right, we're coming up to an hour. So what I will do, I have started a Q&A on YouTube. I don't know if that does anything. I just think... let me know if you're in the chat, if that's done anything different. I've started a Q&A and I've just put, who was your man of the match today? Get all your comments in. Let me know who your man of the match was if you're watching on... in fact, if you're watching on Facebook, do it as well. Let me know who your man of the match was. But for me, in fact, I'll tell you what, Andy, I'll let you go first this time.
I honestly don't know. I we're trying to think of it while I'm watching the match, because I thought we played really, really well. Like I say, Cullen in midfield, you know what you're going to get from him. Laurent, again, you know what you're going to get from him. Brownhill, like I say, I thought he played well, but he didn't shine out for me. Probably give it to Steve. Like, it's just Steve in it. He's just absolutely incredible. But every man on the pitch, earlier in the season, I said quite a few times, every man on the pitch should, when they've come off, they can't say that they've given everything, but today they have. So yeah, I'm giving it Steve.
Fair enough. There was a couple of moments where Steve was called upon, not anything massive, to be fair, but typical from Burnley and Steve. A slight instance where he needed to do something, and he just did it so easily every single time. And he's just Mr. He is Mr. Reliable. Like, he genuinely is, Steve. He's so good. Like, I know Connor Roberts is good as well. Like, I'm not taking anything away from Connor from calling him Mr. Reliable earlier. But I think for me, it's Steve. You just know you're going to get an 8 out of 10 every week. Like with Connor, you probably get like a 7 out of 10 every week. Whereas with Steve, I think you get an 8 out of 10 at least most weeks, and sometimes even 9 out of 10s. Absolutely fantastic. It's a tough one. I agree with you. It's a tough one today because there's been so many players doing really, really well. But I wanted to give it Bashir at one point, and then in Umin and Arin, I wanted to give it Hannibal as well. He was fantastic, but I gave it Hannibal last week, and I think I'm going to settle on Josh Brownhill. He was superb. Like, when you're saying he didn't stand out that much, I thought it was class. I thought it was absolutely brilliant today. He got the goal as well. I thought it was brilliant. Really, really good. Shutting a lot of people up, myself included, even though I've not really slagged him off, I've just said I don't see how he fits into that midfield, but he definitely fits into that midfield in that number 10 role now. Absolutely fantastic. And just looking at the who scored match stats, they gave it to Brownhill. And I think the club Twitter poll gave it to Brownhill as well. So Brownhill's got it on most things, and I just feel like, because of everything that goes on with Josh and the criticism that he gets, and he just pulls out performances every single week and scores goals every single week, leading goal scorer as well. Like, he's having a great season. Yeah. Whether he's having a great season because he's trying to put himself in the shop window will remain to be seen. But if he gets us to the Premier League and then decides he wants to leave, then I guess a lot of Burnley fans will be like, obviously, we're a little bit annoyed at that, but fair enough. Claret Al says, Turfcast, what a year. Award-winning, and hats off to the team for filling a gap that isn't available from anywhere else. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all. MVP this year award. Thank you, mate. I don't like blowing my own trumpet, but genuinely, nobody does it like us. We do better, and not even better. Like, I understand some people will have different opinions on content and different styles. I'm a bit more shouty, whereas some of the other podcasters are a little bit more reserved. If you prefer the reserved style, that's fair enough. But nobody does as much as us, and that is a guarantee. That is a guarantee. But anyway, let's get into the man of the matches. I've said Brownhill. Andrew has said Steve. The comments have been coming in. And we have, hold on, I've scrolled up too far. Give me a sec. We have, right, Kieran Phillips. Even Kieran Phillips has gone Brownhill. My God. So just call it off. Give it Brownhill, man. Just call it off. Kieran Phillips. It's a shame Sam's not here. It really is. It's a shame Sam's not here. You two could have got on and even like kissed or something, Kieran, because it'd have been an absolute Brownhill loving if you and Sam were here. Paul Boo says Humphreys. Phil says Hannibal. Phil says Hannibal says Phil. Brownette says Simon Harvey. Hannibal says Colin. Hannibal says James Thresh. Brownhill says Claret Al. Brownhill says Lee Dane. Difficult one today, says Rick. So many good performances. Probably Brownhill. Ben Head has gone for Steve. Steve was RR again. I don't know what RR means. I might be missing something there. Lumberg with series might be a shout, but I thought Trafford did everything right for me today. He did, mate. He's spot on. Like, the only problem with that is he won't get the man of the match shout, so he didn't have to make any like massive saves. So he didn't like keepers in it. But everything he needed to do, fantastic. And you must have missed it earlier in the chat, to be fair. But we were saying how good he played about 45 minutes ago. He was fantastic again today. Was James Trafford. JK says Humphreys. Brownhill says Gameforge. Cullen or Esteve says David Gold. Solid game in, game out. Hannibal or Humphrey, says Martin Stevenson. AMN, it was surprising how Hannibal played amazingly in the new position. So for me, he's MVP. Absolutely brilliant in that new position, mate. I presume you're a Hannibal native and stuff. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. Jack O'Callaghan says CJ. Scott Parker, man of the match, says Scott. He got everything right. Humphreys by a narrow margin, says David Gill. The all-11 complete team performance, says Kurt Lee. I mean, utter woke nonsense, mate. You can't give it there, everybody. You've got to pick somebody out. Gameforge says Brownhill again. I saw you the first time. Brownie nudges it over Hannibal, says Climber 1882. Hannibal and Humphreys for me. Anti-Walk Tunisia says Hannibal. Medra, Burnley from Tunisia. Go Burnley. Cheers, mate. I presume you're a Hannibal fan rather than a Burnley fan, but we're glad to have you here for now. We have Trafford has a clean sheet person. Cullen now, says Gameforge. Make your mind up, mate. Cullen, let's not go that far, pal, says Kieran. Sorry, the comments have been coming in so quickly, to be fair. So I have apologies if I missed them. But yeah, fantastic. And obviously Leeds are currently playing, so unfortunately I can't show you what the league table will be at the end of today. Well, fingers crossed. I'm showing it wrong because where the fuck is the thing? Because Leeds concede. But currently, this is how the league table looks. And apologies, since I bought my new ultra-wide screen, it does this and it looks awful. I'll tell you what, can I do that? Oh my God, it still looks awful. Look at state of that. Ultra-wide screen, right? And it just makes it look like that on the actual stream. However, Burnley are top. Burnley are not top. Sorry, Burnley are closer to top than what they were. I'll zoom in for you all. There you go. So you've got Leeds top. They're currently on. Where's it gone now? They're currently on. Oh, for God's sake! 48. Right, there you go. They're currently on 48 points. Yeah, obviously winning now at Stoke. You would suspect they'd win at Stoke. To be fair, Stoke are god awful. Then obviously Sheffield United have gone down into second. Clarets still in third, but obviously the important thing is we are now 1 point off top rather than 4 points. Even if Leeds win, we'll be 1 point off top. It doesn't matter. We'll still be 1 point off top. To me, like, I know some people are saying, oh, we don't want Leeds to win. And obviously we don't, but it's not the end of the world if we do. Whether Leeds win or not, we're going to be 1 point off the top. And that's the important stat for me. Sunderland dropped points at Blackburn today. So thank you, Fiddlers, for the favour. It's a shame. Is it a shame that they scored late on? I've just said thank you for the favour and then said it might be a shame. Who knows? But obviously Sunderland now are 3 points beneath us on 44. Then you've got a huge gap to the rest of the dross. Got Blackburn on 38 points, Watford on 37, Middlesbrough on 36, who threw away a 3-goal lead today, and managerless West Brom. Did they get beat today? Yes, they did. Wow. So yeah, Andrew, how are you feeling looking at that league table? Yeah, mad. How are you thinking looking at that league table now? Because obviously a lot better than what it was before the match.
Yeah, confident. Like I said at the start of the season, we were going to finish third. We're now exactly halfway through the season, and I'm pretty confident we'll be in the top 2. We've only really just started to get going properly, and we're 1 point off top. We've got 21 on goal difference, so we've got 2 goals better than Sheffield United on 19. All right, we're 6 goals behind Leeds on 27, but it's that, like Claret Blue 1882 there said, we're 3 points clear from 4th. We're like 9 points clear from them lot in 5th. Like, we're absolutely, like, it's starting to be a 3-horse race, and I think come the end of these next 4 fixtures, we could be well and truly, top of the league.
Yeah, well, we went into this run of fixtures, didn't we, saying if we're still within touching distance of them because of how hard this run of fixture is, then we're still going to, we're in with a shout, and we're more than within touching distance now. We've gone to one of the places this season where nobody's won. We've beat the top of the league on their home patch. Claret Al says, "Lol, Joe, how many deep are you, mate?" I presume you're talking about the Madries. This is just my second one, mate. I'm just happy. I'm just a happy man because we won today. I did have a pint of warm calling piss on Bramall Lane, though, if I'm honest with you. But obviously that were about 6-7 hours ago now, so I think that one's fully out of my system. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. Quickly, Andrew, Middlesbrough predictions.
The Sheffield United game was the one that I was worried about. So now we've got that out the way. I feel like I predicted a draw, but I honestly think we'll get a win now. I'm going to say we're going to win 2-0. I think we
Tell you what, they had a man sent off today, and I don't know who it is off the top of my head his name, but I think he's one of their main centre backs. So fingers crossed that obviously places our hands, and then we can kick on. But yeah, we'll leave it there then. Obviously, we're just hit an hour, and I think, by the way, Andrew, pat yourself on the back. I think we've done a very, very, very good job, by the way, to get to an hour. I said to you, didn't I, when we were starting? Oh, it's just 2 of us. We will struggle. It's been a while since I've had to do it just 2 of us. I think the last time I did it was with Neil. That's how long ago it is. Neil doesn't even answer the WhatsApp messages these days. But absolutely fantastic. Enjoyed it, Andrew. Thank you for coming on, mate. Me and you clearly don't have a life. It's Boxing Day and we're both sat here doing this. But hope you've all enjoyed it. As usual, somebody did say it. Hold on, before I say that, is there a pre-match for Middlesbrough? The honest answer at the minute is, mate, I don't know. I'm going to message the Middlesbrough lad. I'm working 4 12-hour shifts over the next 4 days, so I'm going to just quickly get my diary up. I'm gonna struggle to fit it in, but there is meeting rooms at work that I can sit in and maybe do something with that if I can get the Middlesbrough fan to do it. So I'll speak to the Middlesbrough fan and I'll just put it out as and when I need to. But yeah, lads, thank you. Andrew, thank you. Everyone in the chat, thank you. Kieran says, well done, lads. Happy New Year, all the best. I think Kieran's in a good mood today because Sam's not here. I think that's the only reason. I think Kieran sees Sam and just thinks, fucking hell, I hate that bastard. Don't know why. He's a really nice lad, Kieran. But yeah, Andrew's internet held up, says Clarets 1882 should get an award for that. Yeah, the hamsters managed to hold out. They might have an heart attack by the end of today. But thank you, everybody. I hope you all had a great Christmas, by the way, yesterday. Mine was fantastic. I hope all you had a good one too. And yeah, like I always say, if you joined the stream late, then it does stay on YouTube and Facebook for you to watch back at your leisure. And of course, I will be sticking it up as a podcast within the next couple of hours. I still need to do the match reactions. I've not done them yet. So I'm going to go downstairs, do the match reactions with my laptop on my lap, watching the football. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for listening. And we will see you next time.